When it comes to browsing the wide world of the web, we encounter a not significant amount of ads, pop-ups, and just strange content. Add to that the fact that the internet is progressing in a rapid rate. Now, what this ends up doing is that to the end user, it ends up looking quite scary. But do not worry, cause let's be real though, when it comes to browsing the internet, we are just bombarded with ads that are most, if not at all times, just misleading or even scummy. Commonly found on social media, where poor old Margaret is gonna wonder why she's being thrown out of her apartment the next morning. No, but seriously, look at this stuff. Like, I get it. You are trying to make a living. Heck, for whatever I know, you may just be some dude in his underwear hoping to get a hand off from his queen that he has been donating money to in hopes of having a slight chance of dating her or heck even marrying her. Oh wait, where was I? Oh yeah. The ad is just bad, but there are countless examples of this behavior, so instead of beating a dead horse into an even more depressing state than it already is, how about we discuss some basics of internet security and privacy? Now, this one might seem pretty obvious, like, well duh, why wouldn't I look at the address where a button or a link might send me? Well, for you it may seem obvious, but I bet you wouldn't be surprised that people, still to this day, fall for this trick. Heck, you cannot use it as a good example or tip either, cause no matter how thoroughly you analyze a link, it may look legit at first glance, but then all of a sudden, boom, your screen is flooded with anime titties. So yeah, in general, it is not enough, so what is the next best thing to do? This may sound really unnecessary, but you would be surprised by how many people do not do this. Again, this applies to ads and emails as pictured in this situation. You get an email from your bank telling you that a transaction worth $500 was processed. So, in an adrenaline rush, if you are that person, you click the link, it sends you to a generic looking login page, except it isn't. You see, what you just missed that was the first thing you should do no matter what the content might be. Read the damn email. You would be surprised by certain little things that might help you in the long run. First, look at the sender's address. It may look similar, but it's just a letter of the original. Next, most banks will refer to you by your real name, not like user or something generic like that. Next, here are a ton of spelling mistakes that a multi-million-dollar company would not make, and they would make sure to avoid these simple mistakes. The same can be applied to YouTubers such as myself. Yes, even yours truly is not safe from them. It may look like an email from YouTube themselves, but it's not. Most of the time they will try to trick us that we've got a copyright claim even though I did not get a single warning or single strike in the past year or two. But there is more to this again. The same things apply. They are repeating themselves. The sender's address does not match. They will refer to you as user, and there is a bunch of spelling mistakes. However, these are just not the only things you should look out for. Another thing you can look out for is either logos or images that are looking a bit crooked, or they even end up using older logos, which a lot of those YouTube scams, as I mentioned right now, end up using, and if you don't look it up properly, you may end up getting scammed. So let's say that you are casually browsing the internet and suddenly, oh no, your computer has been infected. So yeah, these things. People still believe them. Yeah, I wish I was joking, but no, people still fall for this obvious trap. Usually, how these go is something like this. The people call the scammers, I meant to say Microsoft employees, and they will connect to your computer remotely. Now obviously they would prefer to use something like TeamViewer or other remote connection software, but that's not important. They'll try to connect to your computer using remote connection. This alone should be a gargantuan red flag. Like, why would you trust a random stranger to connect to your PC remotely, to just wreak havoc upon your PC, and if you refuse to pay them, they will, well, most of them will delete your files. Again, I wish I was joking, but this is what happens. Now, what is the best way to avoid stuff like this? It's really simple. Just ignore it. You can just close the browser, reopen it, and go on with your day. There will be a better piece of advice at the end of this video, I promise. Also, this happens on Android too. This was just a little side note that I wanted to mention. Well, we did just discuss that you should avoid those fake error alerts. Well, let's just say that it extends into really bad software that does not even work, even if you pay them to fix your errors that they claim they have found on your PC. Most of the time they are just looking for files inside of Windows that should be there. If someone tells you to delete a file that shouldn't be there, don't trust them. Make your own research. There's a ton of things you can learn online. Most of these pieces of software can actually be found in some sort of driver fixers, downloaders, or even registry cleaners and fixers. There are also registry backuppers. But I mean, should I even mention that you can back up your current registry using Regedit? Regedit is a integrated Windows utility that you can use to make a backup of your current registry without having to rely on somebody else's piece of software to do it for you. It's actually really simple. And to make this simple for you, just avoid these fake pieces of software. They just don't work. Most of the time they end up looking for services or files that have to be there, and they will claim that those are viruses. So firstly, make sure to install an ad block into your browser. Now this may sound a bit strange for me to tell you to install an ad block, with my channel being practically run using ads. However, for me it's actually more important for you to be safe instead of risking you getting scammed, to be honest. Now you should bear in mind that some websites will prevent you from accessing them unless you disable it, and you've guessed it, they are just filled with ads. Next, make sure that you disable the remote desktop service. Here I'm just going to say that YouTube is your friend, because I cannot be bothered to show you how to do this. There's a ton of guides on the internet showing you how to do this very stuff, so make sure to look it up. Another important tool that you should be using, if possible, is a VPN, like NordVPN. And no, this video is not sponsored by NordVPN, so if you were expecting a cringy ad, I'm very sorry. Next up, it's important to have a good antivirus software installed, like AVG. I had a lot of success using AVG on the Windows, but since I'm a Linux user, I don't really need anything like this. I wouldn't say that you should go without an antivirus on any OS, but if you just don't click on really random stuff on the internet, you should be fine. A next and really important thing is to secure your online accounts. A good way to do this is by using something called an authenticator. An authenticator is a piece of software or app on your phone that generates codes unique to your account. So when you're about to log into your account, you have to use those generated codes, so anyone else who's trying to log into your account won't be able to do it, because only you have your phone and only you have those authenticators installed. This, what I just mentioned, is a strategy called two-factor authentication. For example, I use Google Authenticator and Authy to secure all my accounts. If you can, I would advise to enable SMS alerts and authentications for your social media accounts. It really does help, and it really works. Now this may or may not be the answer you want to hear, but just don't be an idiot. Just think a little before you do anything. If it sounds too good to be true, think about it. And if you are really unsure, just avoid it. Now, you may have noticed I did not mention secure browsers like Iridium or Tor, and the reason is, it is really up to you. Yes, Joe, it is up to you to decide if you want to spend a week or two recovering your stuff or your data in general, or just watching a movie for a few hours. It's up to you. Now, just don't be a smooth brain. Use that big brain of yours. Just use it. It's there for a reason. So, you made it to the end. Honestly, you're an absolute legend for making it this far, and I just want to mention that there will be a video in the future discussing the tools and tricks scammers use. Before I forget, let me know what you thought of this style of the video. I have spent quite a lot of time writing the script that I'm currently reading on editing this very video, and also let me know what topics you want me to cover next. Obviously, it took some time to make this video, but I think it was really worth it. And with that, I want to thank all of you for joining me on today's episode of TechKnowHow 101. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I hope to see all of you absolute legends next time.